Hello, everybody. I'm very glad to be here. Let me ask you a question. So who wants to hear about e-patients here? Okay, good. Who wants to hear from e-patients? It's a difference. Is it different? It is, right? It's not a third-person word. I have to bring them in the room. So I'm trying to represent here e-patients in Europe. I'm not one myself, but I feel it's a big honor to do so. So talking about e-patients in Europe, can you name me one? Who is the e-patient Dave of Europe? He's a doctor? Okay, we're going to change that now. So do they want to hear from you? Do the e-patients in Europe want to hear from you? I don't know. Let's see. If this advances. Hello? Need to put it. It's not clicking. Oh, there we go. This is a map of patient advocacy groups that follow pharma accounts on Twitter. So yes, we have actually patient advocacy groups and e-patients that do want to hear from pharma. And there's quite a number in Europe, as you can see. And so I went to 4 of those in Europe, and I asked them to talk to us today. And I really would like to thank them for having participated in this and having shared, and invite all of you to go onto my blog. There's a written interview outlining how they became an e-patient in Europe, what motivated them, what reactions they've gotten to their involvement in social media, etc. And then we did video interviews of about 5 to 10 minutes about one specific topic in which they outline something that they think is different between the e-patient movement in Europe and in the US. So one thing that comes to mind is that there's a lot more charities in the US than there seem to be in Europe, which is sort of surprising, right? I mean, there should be one for each country at least, so you'd think there'd be more, but there's a lot less actually, than a lot less that are on social media. Part of the reason is that you guys are very generous. You give 3.5 times more to charities and causes than the Germans, 7 times more than the French, and 14 times more than the Italians. Now, the German and the French I get, I'm a bit of both, so they're squishy. But the Italians, you just have to forgive them. They already gave us food and music, and that's all they could do, okay? So this is the first e-patient, Jan Geisler. I don't know if you know him. He's a leading cancer advocate in Europe. He's been lobbying in Brussels for a while. He was diagnosed very young with a leukemia, and basically saved himself by finding something on the internet in Singapore that he was able to use in Germany. Incredible story. But he's become very active as an advocate in traditional patient advocacy offline, and then created the biggest online forums in Germany, Europe, and now in the world on his disease. I asked him to talk to us about patient advocacy groups.
You just spoke about the importance of internet forums in the EU for patients. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? Who runs these forums, for example?
No, I think many patient organizations run online forums or distribution lists or email reflectors or Facebook pages or whatever, depending on the disease and the severity of disease and so on. So I would say the patient groups themselves are running these online platforms. I mean, those that speak English often use those also in the UK, in the US, or in Singapore, or wherever in the world. But I would say, yes, patient groups are mostly running these online forums. The US is probably different also in terms of the charity culture. There are many more charities generally collecting money and then providing these kind of services. That's probably a bit different, both from the funding situation as well as from the engagement of the, let's say, public and charity activities. That's why I think probably here it's even stronger that the e-patients are really providing these services themselves rather than having companies or non-disease charities to run these kind of services.
So more of less of a fundraising culture in Europe, more of maybe a lobbying, and also tighter links to offline patient advocacy groups is one thing. Then I asked a diabetes patient, Anne Seubert, who is blogging about cookies, which I think is fantastic. And she is your biggest fan, Carrie. She loves your blog. Which is something else that I noticed. All of these patients, you realize, are English speaking, right? And they turn to your social media, actually. This is where I'm from, Neumünster. Mom, Dad, this is the only time probably our little town will be on a map in an international forum, so I just had to point that out. It's in the middle of nowhere, as you can see. Which is a good analogy of the diabetes online network, because that's also a little bit in the middle of nowhere. You see a lot of forums that are the traditional patient advocacy group forums that we see, a couple of blogs, a lot of static information sites. So you've very quickly went around the information that's there, that's available, okay? And if you speak only German, then that's where you're stuck, right? But Anne doesn't. Anne also speaks English. So she has access to this, which is your information on diabetes online, social media-wise. Okay? So it makes a huge difference. I talked to Anne about her use of social media as well.
The information we find about diabetes in Germany online seems to be much more problem-oriented or solution-oriented than social and community-based as is in the case of US social media. Do you think that is something cultural? Are Germans just less social and less likely to share and build a community online? Or is this something we're going to see evolve over the next 3-5 years as people become more comfortable with using social media also in Germany?
I think Germany can learn, and they will learn to build communities online. And if not, I will show them how to. Because I think the simple thing of not being the only one with a problem or with a problem with the disease can give you so much inspiration and also so much strength to struggle on with your daily life, which is quite hard sometimes.
So there's hope. Even the Germans will eventually become social. So I was glad to hear that. And then there's always this, and in the States you go online a lot because your healthcare system just, you don't have access, and it's really complicated to know how to get access to your drugs, so the internet is providing you with resources on that. And, and in Europe we have general healthcare, everything is paid for, so we don't have that problem, so we need to do less lobbying around that. Well, think again, as of June, 4 pharmaceutical companies stopped delivering treatments on cancer and on diabetes products to Greek hospitals because the Greek Ministry of Health was working on a credit line and hadn't paid them for 4 years. And in the struggle, though, they're taking patients hostage because patients won't get access to their treatments or are panicked about not getting access to their treatments. So this has been going on, and now, patients in Greece are running around trying to find their next hit of chemo somewhere, which is something never seen before in Europe and definitely has an impact on trust, which is something I discussed with Kati. She is our e-patient from Greece, extremely educated, incredible breast cancer advocate, and extremely active on Twitter, so I really invite you to follow her. And we did an interview on trust.
Doesn't look like that increased the trust between pharmaceutical companies and patients in Greece. Actually, to the contrary, it seems like it destroyed a lot of trust. Now, social media and patients, that whole relationship is built on trust. So would you say that right now this is an opportunity for pharma to use social media in some savvy way to reinstall that trust, or on the contrary, should they first rebuild that trust before they can even think about engaging in social media? What are your thoughts on this?
Silja, the answer is that definitely pharma needs to rebuild trust with patients and the society at large. Social media is just a tool, and its use should be part of a general strategy. If the strategy is missing, the tool cannot replace it. There is no online engagement of pharma in Greece with patients and society. And whatever is there is minimal and impersonal. Pharma posts neutral, very general information on their website, which is something that patients and people can easily find on other medical information websites. Regulations are one thing, attitude is another. If a pharma wanted, they could be engaging with patients. They could be frank, they could be open, they could be compassionate.
I loved what Seth Gordon said this morning, that it's about putting the humanity into every interaction that you have. I think this is a huge missed opportunity by pharma so far to do so in this situation of crisis. We all know business needs to do what business does, but if you have the patients caught in the middle, there's a lot that goes towards communicating with them. And then I talked to Angel. Angel is actually leading a social media and healthcare forum, and was talking about e-patients until he became one himself, who was diagnosed with a rare disease and actually had no information in Spanish available, and turned to patients like me. So as he's an expert in the pharma side, I asked him about what pharma should do.
So of course I have to ask this, Angel. Having been on both sides of the fence, consulting with pharma on how they should engage with social media, and then being a patient yourself, what are the three biggest opportunities you see right now for pharmaceutical companies in Spain to be using social media in an engaging and transparent way with patients?
This is a very good question, Silja. As you know, the Spanish pharmaceutical industry is facing tough times, very, very tough times, and that is leading to wonder what's going on in the future, because the future will never be the same as the past 15 or 20 years. And this is leading to a change of paradigm. And one of the points to bear in mind is to put the patients, as you evangelize, at the center of the system. To bear in mind that from now on we are dealing with a new kind of patients that are capable to connect each other, patients that are capable to connect in power format with their doctors, and patients that can collaborate with them at the system in prevention and treatment. And that means that pharmaceutical companies should consider that issue in order to help to foster that conversation.
So for my conclusion, I would like to invite a subject matter expert. If you would please come up. Because that's the conclusion, right? Do you have a mic? Let's go.
Do you have shades?
Can't believe I'm doing this. Let the patients help. Yes, in Europe as well. Let the patients help, because it's our groundswell. We ain't got no Kelly, Carrie, Gigi, or Dave. Ours are called Cathy, Anna, Jan, or Angel. But it makes no difference to the road that they pave. They want their vendetta, or they will give you help. Let the patients help. Yes, in Europe as well. Let the patients help. It's the right as well.